Imagine paying to go see a movie at the theaters and getting the opportunity to watch a second film for free. Would you be happy you got to see two for the price of one? Would you be upset because you had other plans? Seeing The Brutalist had a two for the price of one experience for me, but a scenario you might not have thought about is, what if one of those two movies you got to see just wasn't your jam? Let's get one thing straight. The Brutalist is a fine piece of cinema with beautiful cinematography, an incredible score, and a surprisingly intriguing story. I enjoyed seeing the film, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but the film is two different movies split by an intermission. The movies are not different in story, character, or content, rather they are stylistically different, and that came as a bit of a shock. The film as a whole follows Laszlo Toth, a Hungarian architect in a post-World War II United States as he creates a building for a wealthy aristocrat. The first half chronicles Laszlo's journey from arriving in the US and living with his cousin while working in his furniture store, to being fired and living in a shelter, then ultimately being found by Harrison Lee Van Buren and commissioned to create an activity center in his late mother's name. All of this half of the film felt very straightforward, to the point, and very standard for a biopic structure of someone's life. I draw comparisons to films like Rudy or historical dramas by Steven Spielberg. All have great visual storytelling, great writing, sweeping scores, and culminate in a classic film for all to love. The first half of The Brutalist is this. Then a 15-minute intermission. I get up, go to the bathroom, come back, go on my phone, and I think, let me research the true story. Let me see the real people and places. That's when I learned Toth wasn't a real person, but was inspired by other true stories, and the film itself is a tribute to European Jewish architects who were tragically lost to the Holocaust in World War II. Fair enough, the movie doesn't have to be a true story, but I will say this biased me a bit to the second half, as I did not love the characters as much because I knew they weren't real. The second half shows Laszlo's wife arriving in the United States to be with him, Laszlo struggling with his building because of budget constraints, then being fired by Van Buren, then Laszlo is brought back onto the project, and then he's assaulted by Van Buren, and then Laszlo's wife overdoses. But in the end, the center was built, and many other buildings were built as Laszlo's work is celebrated around the world, and a scene of him being recognized for it is in an epilogue at the end. So yeah, a lot more to digest in the second half for sure. The second half of the film is stylistically similar to more modern, artistically and visually driven films. Think Poor Things or anything A24 really. And I know, this is an A24 film, so I shouldn't really be surprised, but considering the first half of the film, I feel like I have a right to be taken aback. I think the film's change in style can be attributed to Laszlo himself. While Laszlo arrives, he tries his best to fit in and not stick out. He goes with the flow and assimilates to the rest of the world while staying true to himself. Similarly, the first half operates as a standard biopic with the elements I presented earlier. The second half of the film is what it wants to be. It wants to be more abstract, artistic, and modern, and different. Laszlo is maybe more or less himself in the second half. I think he is certainly a complicated character, but he is not static, and we see more of that in the second half. Someone who has come to be less representative of how we know him. I've definitely oversimplified much of this, but I just wanted to get my thoughts out and see what others think. I enjoyed the whole movie, but the first half was more similar to films I love to watch, while the second half was less of that. I think others will love different halves, and I know many love the whole thing. All in all, go check out The Brutalist in theaters. It's a lovely film that deserves to be seen on the big screen. That's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to leave a like and comment, and don't forget to subscribe.